third man is Derek. Derek is a third man. Frank is a tall, thin man with a narrow face and bushy hair. When he's lying in bed, you can't tell how tall he is, but he is tall. And lying in bed is the moment when he is most happy. His bed is soft and comfortable, buffeted with pillows, and sleepy. He'll rub his fingers around the angles of his face and recollect his dreams. Basking on the shores of sleep, tracing the foothills of the great clouded mountains of dreams, he picks into a darkness, into a muddy, froggish breeding pool, and collects unlikely treasures, dusty dioramas, scaled fish, jewels, and coffee-stained photographs of children with muddy fingers. He searches for bits of lint in the crevices of rocks. His eyes, with their dreamy night vision, seek out hooks and holes and happenings and iridescent hunks of sky, as difficult to handle as rope in oil. He sweeps a hand across the surfaces of languorous pools and draws it back to his still body, the hand cupped to receive, and relives the dream life with the deep confidence that if he finds something sweet enough, he can find someone to impress with it. Well, I mean, the first, most obvious solution is that the people in the office will handle any cockroach problem themselves, right? I mean, people fear roaches, and therefore any roaches which are seen will be attacked by the person who sees it, and therefore any roaches which venture out and make a nuisance of themselves will immediately be eliminated. But of course that doesn't actually solve the problem. I know what you're thinking. The cockroach is actually a fascinating creature with all sorts of survival techniques, and I think we'd better consider all of them before we come to any kind of a conclusion, if anything in life ever truly concludes. I want to consider the life and the living of the cockroach. The cockroach is a small creature by our standards, but it is not small by its own standards. By its standards, we are massive. We are Behemoth, Leviathan, Thor. We are to be avoided. And you see how cleverly roaches avoid you. When there are only a few of them in your apartment, you almost never see them. They're so good at avoiding you. They come out only when it is dark. When they know that you can't see them, they stick to the corners of rooms, they find food efficiently, and then they go back to their hives. I think the problem that we're dealing with is that the roach is not just the roach. The roach is actually, symbolically and practically, a basic element of decay. See it as it enters your field of vision. What is it doing? Is it moving? No. It is still. It does nothing, hoping that you have not seen it. What do? You approach slowly, steadily, hoping not to frighten it. You arm yourself yourself. Maybe with a shoe. And then you whack it! You whack it! You whack it with the shoe! Slam after slam after slam! And then what? When you lift the shoe, what do you see? Nothing! Or else a burst of motion! The roach is off! It has survived your flurry of attacks, and it is off! It is on its way! It is streaking for the safety of the wall or corner! You attack it again with the shoe, but your blows are glancing ones, and why? Because it has reached the corner now. It is in its element. You must either attack it again with the shoe while it hugs the corner, or else take your eyes off of it long enough to find a weapon more suited to such close quarters. But the chances are, whatever you choose, that it, the roach, will find its way to an exit before you find the right weapon to use to smash it with! I want to consider, just for a moment, what sets the human evolutionary tract apart from that of the roach. What is it? What is the main thing that human evolution has based itself upon for the last 1,000,000 years? The brain. That's right, the brain. This complex ball of muscle and tissue and nerves, all bent on decision and discrimination and higher complex thought and the construction and building of abstract ideas. Let's use this brain to think a little deeper. Why is the brain important? How does it specialize us? What has it allowed us to do? To accessorize. To handle weapons. A naked, lonely human, wherever you put him in the wilderness, is in a considerable amount of danger. But hook him up to some boots and some clothes and a gun and a Wi-Fi network, and he can take over the world! But now consider the roach. Consider the evolution of the roach. What has that given us? What is it? What is it that they say that roaches will do long after the rest of us are gone? They will survive! And why? Because of the shell and the gastrointestinal tract. A roach can eat anything, and it can survive almost anything, and it's developed a perfect mind map of how to respond to almost any situation, and it can run, and it can hide, and it can find its way to an exit before we naked, distracted humans find the right weapon to use to crush it with. And so the roach is as unstoppable as decay, as death itself, is what I'm saying. He finished. He took a breath. He breathed. He was smiling, but then a shadow passed over his face. He looked left. He looked right. He sucked his finger and then stuck it into the air. I'm sorry. What was the question, though? There are these 3 men. One of those men is Christian. That's his name. Another man is Frank. A third man is Derek. Derek is a third man. Derek kicks at his comforter in the morning. He grabs it, pulls it over to his left side and then over his right. He kicks at the sheets which have become upset. He pulls them with toes, with fingers, with hips, with heels, but they do not settle themselves into the fine layers with which the dozer is most comfortable.